Welcome to Widowed Too Soon, where real-life widows and widowers come together to share their stories of survival, faith, and the journey of finding hope in the darkest of times. Whether you're newly widowed or have been on this journey for some time, each week we're here to provide you with inspiration, practical advice, and the reassurance that you are not alone. You were made to not only survive, but thrive. And now here's your host, a woman who has walked this path herself, who finds solace in writing, joy in speaking, and freedom in dancing like nobody's watching. Michelle Bader Ebersole.
Welcome to Widowed Too Soon. This is Michelle Bader Ebersole. It has been a long time since I have done a solo episodes. I know you guys have been enjoying the guests, and so have I, and I still have several more recorded, several more coming up. If you want to be a guest, I'd love to have you. And I am absolutely loving having the guests because you guys are hearing from so many people and just all the different stories and all the different ways that God has carried people. But I wanted to today, there's a topic I want to talk about that God put on my heart a few weeks ago. I wanted to do that, but I also want to catch you up on my life. I don't know why, but some of you like to hear about my life because you used to hear about every week. And with the interviews, I've been wanting to just get straight to the point, all of that stuff. So today I'm going to catch you up on like the last month of my life and just some things that have been going on. As I've said before, I will have a podcast. It did not launch when I thought it was going to because there's just been so much going on. But I have a podcast that I'm working on. I did one episode called Live Well with Michelle, and that's going to be the place where I mostly like catch up on my life. But I thought today I would catch you up on the exciting life of Michelle Bader Ebersole. It is exciting. We all have exciting lives. Like God has done so much in our lives. We have so much to share. So let's see. The last time I did an episode, I was in the closet in Boston. I think the last time I did one like on my own, I think. And so it's been about a month. Yeah, it was about a month ago. And a lot of stuff has happened. One of the biggest things that happened is I took my daughter Haley to college. She is now in college. She's a freshman at Corbin University studying music education and absolutely having a great time. And God did the craziest things. Like, this can only be God. Okay, so she meets her roommate. Well, first of all, there was going to be three, but one didn't come. And she meets this girl and it ends up, long story short, I, myself, and Luke actually went to high school with her roommate's dad. Like, we didn't know him. It was like a different time period. We went to the same high school. Just Luke would have been a freshman when he was a senior. So they could have possibly known each other. He didn't know Luke, but there's always that awkward time. Okay. I know you know what I'm talking about when you meet a new like person and they don't know your story. So, we're moving in, they're moving in. As far as they know, they think Joel's the dad, right? Because why would they think any differently? It was me and Peyton and Haley and Joel. And up until I think we went to lunch or dinner with them. And at that point, kind of how they found out was a little interesting. I heard them talking about our high school, and I was like, wait, I went to that high school. And then we're trying to connect, and I was like, oh, my husband's sister might have been in your class. And I pulled up a picture that had her and Luke. I'm showing it to the roommate's dad, and I can see him like a little bit of confusion because I had said husband, but I'm there with Joel, right? And I'm seeing him look at the picture of Luke and then kind of glance at Joel. And I go, oh, well, that's my late husband. He actually passed away 4 years ago. There's always just that moment, right? I don't know about you guys, where you're kind of like, okay, when I meet somebody, I'm going to have to, like, it's going to come up. And sometimes it's awkward, but it wasn't that awkward. I was just like, he passed away from cancer 4 years ago. This is Joel. We got married a year and a half ago. Anyways, this is Haley's dad in the picture. So anyways, kind of cool. We have a lot of common people. In fact, I was pretty good friends with her roommate's dad's sister. So I guess that would be her roommate's aunt for a while because her husband and Luke were friends, and they both were diagnosed with cancer at the same time. And so after her husband passed away, I became good friends with her. And this is way, way before Luke died, like 10 years. And I remember Luke and I going they had a beautiful celebration of life for her husband. And I remember going, and Luke wanted to leave. He's like he had survivor's guilt. Like, why did he die and I lived, you know? And I remember he wanted to go straight home, and I got a ride home with people because he was just like, it was too emotionally hard for him. But anyways, that's all related to Haley's roommate. Like, it's cray cray. She is thriving. She got on a worship team. So of course she's loving that. They have social things like all the time, and she loves it. She just really misses us, but especially Bentley, our dog, and Milo, our cat. So she did come home last weekend, and that was really fun. And it was really hard for her to go back. They actually told us to try to have them wait 6 weeks till they come home, but she really wanted to come home. And she's like an hour and 15 minutes away, and she has the car. So it's like, come home. Cause she's like, all the social events are really during the week. So I'm not missing anything. So she came home last weekend, and it was really, really fun. Also, we had to shave Bentley. I don't know if you guys remember, it was a year ago now when we had to have him shaved before we realized we went an entire year without doing his haircut. You can't do that with a golden doodle. Just, yeah. I know you guys really care about my dog. If you're new here, you're probably like, who really cares? But the thing I really wanted to share was Haley going to college. And I asked her, because everything at the first 2 days, like the families were there, everything was about family, 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 your mom and dad, your mom and dad, and your mom and dad. And I said, are you having any grief? And she said, yeah, I had grief like the night before I left that daddy wouldn't be a part of it. And I'm like, that's okay. Like, that's part of this. I have grief. Like, I had grief that I wasn't there. Yes. Was I thankful? Joel was there. My parents were there. Yes. But there's still this huge part of me that's like, her dad is not here. I want her dad to be here sharing these moments, because no matter how much somebody loves your child, it's not the same as their parent. Like, having Joel's there is not the same. There's my cat in the background if you're watching a video. Hi, Milo. It's not the same thing, and so there was some grief for me while I was there. But it was overall really beautiful. We all wrote notes to her that she got on the first day of classes, and she loved it. And she texted us all and thanked us. She hung them up on the wall. My parents were able to come and be part of all this, which was really special. When Hayden went to college in 22, I was still way more fresh in my grief. I was 2 years out. I didn't have Joel. I think we had just started talking. I could be wrong about the time period, but I know he wasn't with me. No, we were dating, but he wasn't with me. And I just remember like how difficult that time period was. And I cried so much because it really was like I was a single parent doing all these things. And I still have those moments, because even if you're remarried, it is not the same thing. Like, I don't have their dad there to help me with decisions and all that stuff. So that's one of our big things. Haley going to college. She's been gone 3 weeks. It feels like a long time, but we text every day, and we FaceTime like every couple of days. So I love that there's a difference between boys and girls going to college, right? My son, I could not hear anything for a week. Haley, every day, tells me how her day is, like details about what she does, like who she meets, what was at the cafeteria for her dinner, like much, much more detailed. And I love it. So super happy for her that it's going so well. So I wanted to share with you another big event. So it was right after that one. No, right before. Was my would-be 21st anniversary. So for me personally, and we did a poll, the would-be anniversary is the hardest day for me. Like, it literally is. Because I think that's because that was the day that just Luke and I shared, and nobody else had that day. And most people don't remember. Now, shout out to Melissa. I don't think she listens, but she always remembers because it's her birthday. And I always remember her birthday because of the anniversary. And she's just wonderful. But anyways, I want to read to you something to explain how I was feeling on my anniversary. So this was August 22nd. Today would have been my 21st wedding anniversary with Luke. Today was my biggest grief day in years. In a recent survey and a group of widows, it was almost unanimous that our would be anniversary is our hardest day. There are several reasons. It was the day that usually we alone celebrated with our spouse. It was the day we took romantic trips, gave mushy cards, and oftentimes watched old wedding videos and reminisced about how we fell in love and our journey since then. When this day rolls around after their death, we still spend time reminiscing, but this time, the sting of death makes the memories painful. There's an emptiness in our hearts that no one will ever replace, even if we remarry. It's a common misconception that since I'm married again, I don't grieve on my would be anniversary. That couldn't be farther from the truth. Yes, I woke up next to my amazing husband, Joel, but still have an ache in my heart for Luke. As I've said many times before, one love does not cancel out the other. I look through old wedding and family photos. Today I cried for the past, the present, and the future. My heart still aches the most for my babies and what our family unit would look like if their dad was still alive. The most painful thing that played over and over today was saying goodbye to Luke as he transitioned to heaven. It's an experience that can't even fully be put into words. When you see the soul of your husband leave his body, it changes you forever. After crying at Luke's grave, I was filled with so many tears and an ache in my heart as I looked at the thousands of graves and imagined all the people who ache like I do for someone who is gone. I felt a whisper once again say to me, "This world is not your home." I knew it was the Holy Spirit reminding me again to focus on eternity and not all the pain and sickness and death I see in every direction. One day in heaven, we will have no more crying or pain or suffering. That is when we will truly be home. Until then, I pray that I can truly live life to the fullest and pray for God to use me in the lives of those around me. And that is what I wrote on my would-be anniversary day. I remember I was just so, I might have talked about this in a podcast, but I don't know. I was just so overwhelmed with grief, like not just my own, but it was like the weight of everyone's grief came over me as I looked at each name, all these names, thousands of names, everywhere I looked, and just thought every one of these has so many people that feels pain. And it was just like, whoa, this is so much, this is so much. And that's when I heard God say, "This world is not your home." Um, Actually, I think I did do a podcast episode. No, actually, I did it before this, and it's called "This World Is Not Our Home." But I think it was before this experience, and so that was a hard day. I did cry a lot that day. Went to the grave and just really processed by myself. And Joel was really great, and um, but I have a hard time. I cried that day because sometimes to me it feels like everybody forgets. And that's really difficult for me. So that was something that happened, a grief moment for me yesterday. So Peyton's homeschooling, which I'll get to that in a minute. If you're new here and you don't want to hear all this, just like fast forward until I get to the topic. So sorry, but I have so much to catch up on. So he's in this homeschool class. I drop him off and it's like a mile from the house that I lived with Luke for 18 years, right? 17. And it's a nice day. I decided to go running and I'm like, I'm leaving my phone. Like, I just want to pray and just feel everything, see everything, just take it all in. And I ran down to my old house, and that is the house that Luke died in. And yes, have I been there before? Like, since he died? Yes, but I've always driven by. I've never like walked by. So I just sat there and just stared at the house. And I almost wish somebody came out and I could tell them I used to live here and see if they let me come in. But I also don't want to be like, "This is the house my husband died," because they don't know that. Because in my state, in Washington, you don't have to disclose that. I know, I think it's California and some other ones, you do have to say that someone died there. Anyways, I'm remembering all the times the ambulance came. I'm remembering good memories. I'm remembering taking each child home. I'm remembering him carrying me across the threshold when we got married. I'm like literally remembering 17 years of memories. And it's just like overflowing. And then I'm remembering that he died there. I'm remembering his last breath. And it was just a lot. Like, I'm remembering him getting put on stretchers for ambulances and like just so many things. And I walk around to the other side of the neighborhood, and this is so random. There was like a house that put turf in Washington. Normally you don't have turf grass. So my immediate, and I'm talking immediate thought was, oh, I got to tell Luke that they just put in grass. They just put in turf. And it was so weird. It's been over 4 years, but it just, my brain, I think because I was in my old neighborhood, running in my neighborhood like I used to, it was just this boom, immediate thought. And it was so strange. It was so strange, but it's just like your mind can like move all over the place. And then I took a walk. Anyways, it was just a good time of reflection, and it's kind of going to lead into what we're going to talk about feeling things in just a minute. But I really found that interesting. Another huge thing that happened last week, we had a big week last week. My youngest, Peyton, who was 12 when his dad died, he got his license. He's 16 now, and that was very, very exciting. And what was even more, like, I didn't really have grief. I did have grief the other two when they got their licenses, but with him, it was more just like, oh, this is so cute. Like, he's driving Luke's truck. And it was just this beautiful moment of just like, wow, he has grown up so much, and how much Luke would be proud of him watching him drive his truck. And it was just a really cool experience. I really enjoyed him getting his license. Let's see. I'm almost done with all my stuff. 16 minutes, Rob, 16 minutes babbling on my own. I'm doing it. Okay. I had another grief moment. I just like to share these because we all have them. And even 4 years out, it's okay. And it's going to lead into our topic. So I'm on a walk the other day while Peyton's in an appointment, and I see a mail carrier walking with shorts on and the whole outfit. And Luke used to be a mail carrier, a walking route, and used to wear that same outfit. And it just kind of like, and he waved at me. And it's funny because he had no clue what I was thinking, you know? And I'm like, whoa, I got tears in my eyes, and I just felt it, and I missed him. I just missed him. It just like, boom, missed me. And it's part of, we have to feel things, which I'm going to get into in just a minute. What else? We started homeschool this past week. My first time as a homeschool parent, besides when Peyton was in preschool, but that was so easy. We tried one program and it wasn't the right fit, and the program we wanted opened up. So today he started another program where he goes to school 2 half days. That's it. 2 half days a week and does the rest at home. And I've really, really enjoyed the extra time with him and just really getting to spend time with him, and I'm loving it. So it's been a whole kind of stressful process to get to where we are today, but I think we have found the plan. And I really, really enjoy just that one-on-one time that I'm having with him. So that's great. I've really enjoyed, what's interesting, and I've told you guys this, it's not a secret that like for a little bit, when we're transitioning like podcasts, like I am like, God, am I done with widow work? Like, am I done with this? And he's totally revamped the podcast as far as it's growing like crazy. All these people want to be guests. I am planning a retreat. Like everything in my widow life, like my ministry is growing like crazy. So that's where I need to be is working with widows. And I absolutely love it. And so what we're currently doing is we have a retreat. And by the way, it is not too late. When you're listening to this, if I get this out today, it is Tuesday, September 17th. It's about 2 weeks away. We still have a few spots. If you're interested, please send me a message ASAP. I'll give you my easiest email to remember. Michelle@widowgoals.org. Michelle@widowgoals.org. Send me a message, please, ASAP, and we'll get you the details about the retreat. It's $800 for 4 days, 3 nights, all inclusive, Guffey, Colorado. It's 3 hours from Denver, an hour from Colorado Springs, ATVs, horseback riding, amazing content. You'd get to see me in person. Actually, there's a couple podcast listeners coming. So excited to meet them. A bunch of people from last year, and it's going to be an amazing time. We've really been praying about what God wants us to speak on, and Isaiah 43:2, I am with you is the theme of the whole retreat. It's the verses about when you go through deep waters, I'm there. When you go through the fire, I'm there, which that can be a whole other podcast topic. But we're planning that. We're excited, and pray about it. And if you're supposed to be there, it's going to happen. So reach out to me ASAP as soon as you hear this. If you are at all like, I want to know more, doesn't mean you're committed, but like, hey, can you tell me a little bit more about this? And I will get you all the links, all the things, and I'll put a link in the show notes too. And if you want to be there, I'd love to have you there. Side note. So I've been really busy planning the retreat since it's 2 weeks away. There's a lot of stuff happening right now. And I just haven't even sat down to write my book. It's on my schedule, but there's so much happening. We had an event last night. We had 11 people come. It was so much fun. If you live in the Vancouver, Portland area, please let me know. We'd love to have you as part of our event. And you know what's fun about it? Like we don't like go deep. We just have like a little intro and then we play games and then conversations naturally come up, and there's just such a bonding experience for people who've been through the same thing. So I'm just feeling really passionate. I'm working on my speaking career. I'll put a link to it when I have it, but there's going to be this day on October 15th called Fall Faith Day. And I'm going to be one of the guest speakers. I'm speaking about faith through the fire, which episode 3, I spoke about that. And I'm really working on my dream. Here's my dream. You want to hear my dream? I would like to be like a speaker who travels. I'd specifically like to be a retreat speaker. I don't necessarily love planning retreats. I'm not a detail-oriented people. What I love, I'll tell you what I love: gathering the people and speaking to the people. Gathering the people, speaking to the people. And so I'm working on, a friend gave me some great ideas on how to like get into retreat centers. If you are someone who plans retreats or know someone who plans retreats, then they would like a women's speaker. It does not have to be about grief. I love to do it. So let me know. All right, let's dive into the topics. Rob, this is a new record. We are at 21 minutes and 32 seconds of me babbling. So let's get into the topic. Now, you're going to be surprised because I'm changing the name a little bit. So you guys know, if you've listened to the podcast for any length of time, what's my saying? I can hear you guys are in the car. You're saying it. Yes, what we feel, we can heal. Drop the mic. God showed me that I've been saying it incorrectly. This is why I really wanted to do this episode. Like all of a sudden, it was like, no, what we feel, God can heal. We don't heal ourselves. Because I used to always say, I got it from my grief counselor. What we feel, we can heal. And I guess that is kind of true. We can heal, but not meaning like we ourselves, but God. But I want to change that verbiage, and I'm going to talk about why. What we feel, God can heal. Okay, let's all say it together. What we feel, God can heal. And so you guys have heard me talk about it. So I'm going to just kind of like go over the topic again about like feeling it and then how it's healed. But what's changed is it's not us. The power is not within us. It's within Him. And so I just really felt recently like I gotta tell the people I've been saying it wrong. I gotta tell them. So the concept is you need to feel things. If you are stuffing them down, it's not good. My counselor used to tell Peyton when he was young, it's like constipation. If you stuff it down, you're going to explode someday, and you have to deal with it. And we call this in grief recovery. Classes that I lead are called grief recovery method. It's called STIRBs, short-term energy relieving behaviors. It's like anything, like it keeps you from feeling. Anything you do that keeps you from dealing with your pain. For some people, that's online shopping, or it's binge watching Netflix, or sex, or alcohol, or like whatever you do to numb you from the pain, because then you can't feel, because what we feel, God can heal. Okay. So if you don't feel it, you're not giving like God the chance to really get into those deep parts and heal. Like He's always there ready to heal, but we need to do our part, right? We need to feel it. So what do I mean by that? That means literally, if you feel like crying, cry. I don't care where you are, what you're doing. You are allowed to cry. Okay? You are allowed to cry. Somebody out there needs to hear this. You need to feel, because what you feel, God can heal. If you keep it bottled up like a genie in a bottle, anyways, you're never going to get it out. I gotta say, like breaking into random songs by myself does not work. It worked so much better with Mark. Shout out to Mark. praying for you. Okay. So, what we feel we can heal. So we don't want to like keep it locked up. I'll give you some examples. When I was a brand new widow, wait, widow, little widow, a young widow, a new widow, a baby widow. I remember, here's my very specific story. At the grocery store, maybe the one of the first times, probably the first time without Luke. I get to the canned Chef Boyardee, some kind of, I don't know, something that only he liked. I did not eat it. The kids did not eat it. Tomato, I can picture it. It's like these ravioli in a can. And I start crying. I'm staring at Chef Boyardee's face, crying because I was feeling it. And I don't know if I knew at the time, but I'm just a feeler. So I just let myself feel it and I cried. Another time at the bookstore, I'm looking at this book. So before Luke died, I bought this book called My Father's Story, and I would ask him questions and we'd fill it out. And I remember then seeing a copy of that at the bookstore, crying like a baby, but it doesn't matter. Other times, I remember being at church watching this older couple, and I got really sad. I don't know if I cried in church, but I definitely felt it. Just wherever you're at, you're with, like, for me, it was like couples were a big trigger originally, being in big crowds, but not having my person. There's like a billion different scenarios. Let yourself feel it. Okay. Give yourself a break. And tears are actually healing. Now, I remember Mark used to talk about this. There's like some study that was done, but it's actually like super healing to get the tears out. And so I want to encourage you to get the tears out. And people are like, well, I don't want to cry in front of my kids. You know what? Actually, this is what I believe. It's good to cry in front of your kids. Now, one of my kids did say, I didn't know if he would ever stop crying. So maybe not that much, but show them that it's okay to have emotions. I'm crying because I miss daddy. Like, that's the truth, right? So I want to encourage you to feel it and let your kids feel it. So this is another thing in the grief recovery method that we talk about, that we want to let our kids, we want to let people feel their emotions. So for example, in American culture, when you see someone crying, you start rubbing their back or you doing whatever, patting them. Like, I don't really like touch so much, so maybe I wouldn't, but I probably would originally. But what I learned in grief recovery is that we actually stop people's healing if we start like comforting them, and we want them to get all the way through what they're feeling and not stop that. I actually did this with my daughter once when she was crying pretty hard, and I explained it to her. Like, I said, I'm not trying to comfort you because I want you to feel this so that you can be healed. And so if you could do that with your kids, let them cry and let them know why. Now, can you give them a hug? Yes. They talk about like not right in the middle of it. Like, let them get their tears out and then give them a hug and explain it to them so they don't think you're just being mean, but explain, I want you to feel, I know this sounds weird, but I really want you to feel the pain that you're feeling right now because I want you to be able to be healed. God can heal us when we feel it. And just give yourself the freedom to feel things. So I looked up a bunch of verses about healing, and there's so many. This is one of my favorites. Psalm 34:18. The Lord is near the brokenhearted and saves the crushed in spirit. Psalm 147:3. He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. Ooh, I love this one because we're thinking of the future. Revelation 21:4. He will wipe away every tear from their eyes, and death shall be no more. Neither shall there be mourning, nor crying, nor pain anymore, for the former things have passed away. That gives me such hope. Here's another one, Isaiah 41:10. Fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous heart and hand. There's so many verses about healing, and God wants to heal you. Okay, I want to say that again. God wants to heal you. He wants to turn your mourning into dancing. And I can tell you firsthand, I know what that feels like. And it's absolutely amazing. I remember so many times after Luke died and God's bringing back my joy and I'm starting to feel alive again, just crying like in a happy cry and dancing, literally dancing around my house and praising God. And I want you to feel that, you guys. I want you to know what that's like. And Jesus desires to take your broken heart. He wants to take your mourning and turn it into dancing. I get really passionate about this because I know firsthand what it's like to watch your husband die and to watch your children crushed, but to then have God come into the depths of your heart, fill you with the peace that passes all understanding, and replace your mourning with dancing. And I want that for each and every one of you. So, how do you get it? Like, it's not some magic formula. It's Jesus. Like, there's no other answer. I would lay on the floor crying my eyes out and saying, Jesus, like, help me, help me, help me, help me. And every time there's this like peace, like it's like a physical feeling. The peace that passes all understanding would cover my body and comfort me. And then I would start to see joy. And the joy of the Lord is my strength. Joy is not based on circumstances. That's why the Lord gives and the Lord takes away. But blessed be the name of the Lord. That's why we can say that. That's why we can say that. It's because the joy of the Lord is not about circumstances. Like, it's about being content wherever you are, whatever is going on, because you trust the one who's allowing this to happen. Now, do I believe God causes sickness and accidents and all that? No, absolutely not. But God allows it. I don't know why. But what God allows, I can accept. If God allowed it, I can accept it. That's something I remember hearing in a sermon when Luke was sick with cancer. And it was like, okay, God, I don't get this. I don't understand it. I don't like it. But if you allowed it, I can accept it. And I want to tell you this, no pain is wasted. There is purpose in your life. If you are still here, if you are listening to this, if you are in the sound of my voice, if you are alive, God has a purpose for you. He does. He has a purpose for all of us. And he so beautifully crafts and makes beautiful things from the most painful situations. I'm seeing it recently. I have two widow friends that I love very dearly who both just got engaged and are planning weddings. And it's the most beautiful stories about how God brought them together. But it's not just in marriages. Some of you don't want to get married again, and that's okay. And I don't want you to think that's the only way. But like, he beautifully crafts our stories so that we can help other people. All these stories you've been hearing week after week after week, and there's some more great stories coming of heartache and pain. You can see how God has used them to help other people. Even you listening, I bet they've helped you. They've helped me. Every single story that I listen to, I get something from, and I'm like, wow, I see more beauty of God. I see more just God's hand in all of our lives, even in the hardest circumstances. And it's so beautiful meeting all of these people who have let God heal them because they felt it. What we feel, God can heal. And I've watched it time after time after time, time after time. Doesn't work, right? It falls flat and my voice is off. But it just, I still want to sing the songs. They just don't work. Because before it would be like, Mark or I would start one of them and the other person would finish it and we'd sing it together and then we'd both look dumb together and off key, but you know, got to do what you got to do. Anyways, I guess I don't have to sing it. Just still, I still have, I've been doing this 3.5 years. I still have boom, automatic, like songs come to my head when I'm talking and I just want to say them. So anyways, I get really passionate because I have seen it in my life and I want to see it in yours. Every single person listening. I don't know all of your names personally, but God does. That's the cool part. God sees every tear. Do you know there's a verse in the Bible that actually talks about how God collects all the tears in the bottle? So I'm always like, he's got to have like a bunch of bottles for me because I kind of cry a lot. So I'm very, very emotional. Um, but it's really cool that he literally knows all of our tears and he feels it. Like there's no other person, like everybody's going to let us down. Like even our closest people in our lives are going to let us down. But God is always there. Like he always remembers. He doesn't forget the anniversaries. He doesn't forget the birthdays. He doesn't forget that you're lonely in the group of couples. Like he knows and he will meet you there. And like, I guess I just want to stay too. Like, I really want to challenge you. If you don't have a relationship with Jesus, to get a relationship. It's Christianity is not a set of rules. It's not a religion. It's a relationship. And I have never felt Jesus more clearly in my life than when I was a brand new baby widow. And I literally had nothing else on the floor crying with a heartbreak that I didn't know was possible. I didn't know what a broken heart was until I watched my husband take his last breath and my babies cry over his body. Now, that is the most brokenhearted I have ever been in my life. And I didn't know how brokenhearted I was until that moment. I've been to the lowest of lows, as everyone listening to this has. I didn't know brokenhearted, but then I didn't know the sweetness, the closeness of Jesus that I have known since then, when I was literally broken into pieces and I didn't know how I was going to survive. So I am so thankful that I don't follow a religion, that I follow Jesus. I have a relationship that is very real. He speaks to me. Now, I don't get the audible voice. Sometimes it's thoughts in my head. He speaks through nature. He speaks through the Bible, mostly. He speaks through people. And I also get this like really calming feeling sometimes that I know is the Holy Spirit that just comes over me. Like I kind of have it right now. And it's just like, I know that he's real. And if you don't have that, like there's really, some widows we were talking today, like how do people do without Jesus? Like there's really no other way to fully heal, right? We can take the classes, we can do the courses, we can do all the stuff. But unless we have a relationship with Jesus, the creator, the one and only who can heal our heart, like it's all like our whole life is about like eternity and what are we doing? It's such a deeper thing than the right now. And I just want to encourage you guys, so many things, but to just really feel the emotions that you're feeling and let God heal you. And like take a moment to just feel the pain. Okay. He wants to take you through that and take you to the other side. He doesn't promise that we won't go through things, right? He promises that in the deep waters, in the fire, he will be there. He will not leave you. And you can always hold on to that. No matter how low you're feeling today, he can help you through that. And so I love you guys, even though I don't know you each and every one personally. I do know a lot of you, and I love getting to know every one of you that I can. I just want to encourage you to press in. This world is not our home. This world is not our home. Press into Jesus. Let him comfort you in a way that you've never been comforted. So thank you for letting me talk. It is weird just talking by myself for 40 minutes. But sometimes God just puts things on my heart. I'm going to keep with mostly interviews, but if God puts something on my heart, I'm going to share it. Like today it was like, it's not what we feel we can heal. It's what we feel God can heal. And I just needed to correct that. So forgive me for the episodes that say that, because I didn't think about it, that it's God. God can heal. Anyways, if you liked this episode, give it a little bing, 5 stars on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere you listen. Okay, cool little thing I found out, and I just did it on YouTube. I've been uploading the videos every week. I also found out that YouTube has podcasts. So the podcast is linked on YouTube, but you can't see it. So, watch it on Spotify if you want to see it, or on YouTube. Very exciting. Over 500 people now in our Widow Too Soon community. A couple of scammers have got through. Thank you for the people pointing them out. And then I had to remind everyone this is not a dating site. You can go somewhere else for that. But overall, it's been really great. And my favorite part is watching you guys, the community, support each other. And that's so beautiful. Like, that's when you know it's a real community where it's not just the person who started it, like responding to everybody. It's everybody carrying everybody. And it's beautiful. And if you're not part of our Widow Too Soon community, please look us up on Facebook. There's a link in the show notes. Be part of our community. We'd love to have you there and encourage you. Excuse me, had a little hiccup. Encourage you because you're not alone. So the enemy wants you to think you're alone. You are not alone. You're not alone. So join our community. What else? Always looking for guests. I'm so excited about the ones coming up. I've got 2 more recorded and 2 more planned to record, and another one that we're gonna get it on the calendar. So, lots and lots of guests. But if you have a story to share, please go to the link in the show notes and fill it out. It's just a few questions so I can kind of get to know you better before we schedule it. Then I'll send you a link, and I have a calendar to figure out when we can both meet. Also, something I haven't talked about in a long time, but I just had somebody reach out to me, so it reminded me I need to talk about this more. I am a grief recovery method specialist, and I do enjoy doing it. I just haven't done it in the last few months as much. But I've taken over 40 people through this. So grief recovery is a program. If we do it online, it's a 7-week program where we just basically help you deal with your grief. So think about this. You're born with a backpack. Okay, in this scenario, okay, you got a backpack, and as you go through life, every time you have grief, a rock is put into it, and it gets heavier and heavier. And then when you have something big like a spouse die, it's like a boulder put into it, and then it's like you can't function anymore. So in grief recovery, we actually help you identify the biggest grief you've ever had and take it out and then deal with that. We actually graph out your whole life, every loss you've ever had. It's not as overwhelming as it sounds. It's pretty eye-opening though when you see your entire life on a graph. And then we choose your biggest loss, and then we go through that relationship. So for me, that was Luke, and you go through the highs and the lows, and because every relationship has it. And then we go through some processes to help deal with the pain or the happiness from the relationships, and just all the things, because there's a lot of things in grief. There's a lot of things that have not been said or dealt with. And so we do that. So if you're interested, please send me a message and we can discuss how that works. I absolutely love doing it. I've met a lot of great people through it. And in fact, one of the people that I'm in her wedding, we met through grief recovery. So super excited about her wedding coming up. She asked me to be a bridesmaid. And the crazy thing is I've never met her in real life. And I'm going to go fly and be in her wedding, and just so great. We got to know each other really well through grief recovery. Anyways, it's a great place to just come and deal with your stuff. And so send me a message, michelle@widowgoals.org, or the email that's below. Anyway, you want to contact me, Facebook, whatever, and tell me you're interested in grief recovery, and we'll set up a time to talk, and I'll tell you more details. How does it work? All of that stuff. So thank you guys for being here and listening to me babble all by myself. And what else did I want to say to you? I think that's it. Next week, we've got a great episode coming up, and the next one. I love being ahead where I have ones already done. I just didn't get this one done in time, so I apologize. It's a little late, but better late than never. So those of you listening a little bit late on Tuesday, thank you for your patience. I will talk to you guys next time. Again, think about the retreat too. So have a wonderful, wonderful day. I'll see you next time. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Widowed Too Soon with Michelle Bader Ebersole. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe, rate and review. And we'd also love for you to join our Widowed Too Soon community on Facebook. See you next time.